All right, hello and welcome everybody to According to Andrew number 49, the Electoral count of January 6th. Man, today has been crazy. We thought it would be kind of crazy, and it definitely turned into a crazy day. Um, the Footman 2, thank you for the follow. Um, so yeah, it's been a wild one. I was gonna stick to politics on just Mondays, but uh, today this thing's been kind of consuming my entire brain space, and so I couldn't do anything else. I was like, what should I do? Should I talk about like CS:GO or something like that? I couldn't find it. I was like, nah, we just got to talk about this. So stuff's happened. Pence turns out not to be the guy that we were hoping he would be, but that was also kind of to be expected. So that was kind of interesting. It's crazy how many people turned out, and good on you guys for turning out. Um, on a little minor note, both Democrats supposedly won in the runoff that happened yesterday. Um, and so that would give the control of the Senate to the Democrats. I say supposedly because the same way fraud was committed in the states before, in the state earlier for the vice president or for the presidential election was still in place for these elections. So it's like I don't understand why that would be any different in this election. But yeah, the crowd is crazy out there. So good on you guys. One thing I kind of wanted to talk about. So obviously things might not seem great right now. Stuff's definitely heating up and stuff's getting crazy. But and maybe things are gonna happen right away. Today's the Rubicon crossing, right? And if that happens, I'm excited. Stuff's getting wild. I'm getting pumped. And you got to be kind of careful because you got to make sure that um, the narrative can suck you in so much that you can kind of lose track of the fact that you're being manipulated, that you're in a story, um, and that you're doing the behest and stuff of someone else. But I don't know. Humans are suckers for a good story, I think, and I think that's why this idea of narrative and stuff like that we get wrapped up in it so much because it's man when you get a good one, it's good, man. So one thing I kind of wanted to talk on is okay, so based on how things are kind of going, well, the count has stopped, but like let's say things played out and Biden was voted in, let's say. So the big thing about this is uh, where Trump held all the cards, and the way he held all the cards, and what we can kind of see with here, I'll show you this double envelopment thing. This, so you got the deep state and the American people, which was they showed up in force today at the Capitol. It was great, military intelligence, all that stuff. So one of the key things that's going on here is that the the snakes basically this they had to reveal themselves today. There was no way that they could hold their cards back anymore. They were in a spot where basically they had to play their hand and say, "This is what we are. This is what we do," um, and things like that. And that put them in a major bind because it uh, they didn't want to do that, right? They didn't want to reveal what they were up to, what they were doing, kind of thing. Um, but and it's set up perfectly because they basically today was the day where they're like, all right, now's your last opportunity. Are you going to stand with Trump or are you going to stand with the liars and the snakes? And all the snakes basically were revealed today. And it was nice to see Cruz and all the senators that said, "Hey, we're going to stand up." Senators and House representatives that say, "We're going to stand up and we're going to challenge this. We don't believe this is legal. We feel this is a fraudulent thing." They stood up. They did their thing. So props to them. Good job for them. Um, Pence totally folded. We'll get into that. But anyway, so they have to show their hand, right? But the thing is, they don't. That's not the end game for Trump today. Trump has 2 more weeks, right? And so they had to reveal their hand, and then Giuliani had said that like next week, which was and they said on like the 11th or the 12th, they were going to do a massive dump of information. So after everybody had been showed that they were just going to either be like the types where they're going to stick their head in the sand and nothing to see here, act like everything was fine. If that was what they were going to do, they were going to be shown the next week what was going to happen, and maybe that information is just going to come out today. We'll see. Um, but it's interesting to kind of see what they're doing now because Now that their entire hands are sewn, we'll have Giuliani show the entire world what actually happened on those days, and then that still gives, like, let's say it happens next week. That gives them a full week for the American people to process what happened, and then call for the crossing the Rubicon and the Insurrection Act to be used, and really build up that tension and rage. We've kind of seen it today with people storming the Capitol building. It's already kind of boiling over, but I don't know if, like, there's, you have to have those blue pill people, have them on the side of where they want it to boil over, they want justice, kind of thing, and those people aren't there yet. Um, so that seems like how things might play out here. Things are kind of boiling and getting to a fever pitch now, so maybe things are going to accelerate and move at a faster pace than I think they are going to. But that seems like how things might play out based on what I've been able to see. So you have Giuliani. Um, don't this goes shows everybody that's you finish off the names, you check it twice, make sure you know who's bad, who's the snakes, and then you show the world what's going on, and then you use that as a pretense to remove all the people that you have shown publicly to be fraudsters. So I think that's where things are at right now. Um, so what happened today? So kind of interesting. So President Pence says, this is from Vox's blog, in a new statement that he cannot unilaterally subvert the election and grant Trump a second term. No vice president in American history has ever asserted such authority, which is just ridiculous. It's like, uh, like, oh, I can't subvert the election that was subverted, right? It's, you're not subverting anything. You're setting things right. But you know, I had always kind of thought, like, some people were kind of going back and forth. They're like, there's aspects of him that had at times had shown he was like a good man kind of thing, but this kind of shows that he is a swamp creature. So that's kind of interesting. And then Vox adds, I think we can safely assume that while Trump's second term is that while some, Trump's second term is still in question, Mike Pence will not serve a second term as vice president. The lesson, as always, is this: never trust a conservative. They are practitioners of the art of surrender. The ball is now squarely in President Trump's court. He is a man. Is he a man, or is he just another big talking mouse? History and fate of the U.S. awaits his decision. And we're kind of getting towards that, but let's talk about what's kind of happened so far. Um, Pence accomplished nothing but to show that he is a true deep state. His true deep state colors. The House isn't even voting on anything today. Trump supporters storm the Capitol building in D.C. as Vice President Pence runs for safety after refusing to block Biden's confirmation amid violent clashes with presidents rallying after president's rally condemning his own party. An army of Donald Trump supporters stormed Congress Wednesday after he told them to march on the Capitol with Mike Pence. Nancy Pelosi and lawmakers rushed to safety as thousands threatened to break through the police barricades. Members of Congress, and see, that was the interesting thing. I thought that might be another reason. It's like you have the angry mobs at your doorstep, right? It's very, I guess I wasn't there, but it kind of, the thing it invokes in me mentally is kind of the terror, right? Is you have all these people, and it's like, how much do you want to risk? How much do you, like, you know, the idea that people are going to be breaking out gallows doesn't seem like that far off, you know? So how much are you willing, like, are you willing to tell them to go eat cake? Because it seems like a bad call. Just saying. Members of Congress ran from the floor as police ordered them to evacuate to the offices of their own safety after a mob smashed through police barricades. The storming brought the certification of Joe Biden's victory to a halt after Pence said he would defy Trump and refuse to overturn the election single-handedly. Which, yeah, whatever. Do you hear the people sing? So the idea that, like, because imagine this. And this would have really shown it, and this is why they would do it, but, and they still would have probably paid enough people for a decent amount to show up, but imagine if right next to the Trump rally was a rally to support Biden, and then the amount of people that actually support Biden showed up. There would be nobody. Nobody would show up. So it's like, and I think that, like, if he had actually thought he won, I think that would have been a, like, super, like, sweet move on Biden's part to be like, You want to know what? You want to have your own rally and stuff like that? We're going to keep them separate. We don't want violence to break out between these groups, but we're going to host the rally the same day. I'm going to bring in a bigger crowd than you just to prove that I'm more awesome and I'm more popular. And that's why I got more popular votes than you. That's why I crushed you and that's why I beat you, right? That's a baller move. But he knows he cheated because no 80 million people voted and like 20 million more than voted for Barack Obama voted for a decrepit old man known as Joe Biden. Anyway, continuing on. So, update: Defense Department has denied the request for by the D.C. offices to deploy the National Guard to the U.S. Capitol. This has changed since then. Um, Sounds like insurrection to me. The president clearly has no other choice but to invoke the Insurrection Act. CNN headline: Insurrection in Washington following Trump engagement. The president clearly has no choice but to invoke the Insurrection Act. Also, apparently, during the storming of the Capitol building, which it seems like the Trump people have taken over and they all bailed, um, some lady was shot and killed, from what I have heard. So that's kind of interesting. Update again: President Trump's silence so far suggests a major announcement coming tonight. And I have to admit, this is already the greatest thing I have seen or heard since Miracle on Ice in 1980. This is all Vox's words, by the way. And then another update was listen to Anderson Cooper's voice shake as he tries to explain away why it is right for blacks and gays to protest, but wrong for the D.C. protesters to take over the Capitol building is hysterical. Because obviously it goes to that total politics thing we talked about, where everything they do is okay because it's because the establishment used violence to establish itself, and therefore us using either total politics or even going as far as using violence is seen as okay because your system is a creation of violence. That's how they justify it to themselves. Um, and so if you try to retaliate in any way that in any like kind to these people that are totally hysterical, they lose their mind because they're like, you can't do that kind of thing. Like they don't believe that a right wing group will stand up to them, mainly because they're used to dealing with people who fold over, known as conservatives. Um, so uh, so yeah, this isn't any more violent or crazy than all the protests that Antifa and BLM and stuff like that have been doing for the past years, and the summer really highlights it, where they just literally burn cities to the ground. The idea that this fake sacrimonious place called the Capitol Hill, which is actually just a den of liars and thieves, um, deserves any respect whatsoever, isn't true. Now, maybe one day, at one point, it did, but when it wasn't, when America wasn't so unbelievably corrupted that it was a joke to look at Capitol Hill with any sort of reasonableness. But those days have long passed. Anyway, you can hear the fear in the voices of the CNN commentators. They are terrified that Trump is crossing the Rubicon, and one can only hope. Um, Update again. Just a thought. We were told that Pence, Pelosi, and the Congress critters have been moved to a secure location, but we have not been told that they will have been released. AKA, the secure location might be a prison cell, which would be nice. As who is it? There was some guy whose his quote was the one of the sad things about politics is not nearly enough of them get hanged, I think was the quote. Um, and considering the crimes that they commit, he is absolutely correct. Like, if you compare the crimes of politicians to like especially since it's back in Victorian era, where it's like you stole an apple, you get hung. If you compare the crimes of the elite um, of the politicians to the crimes of an everyday person, and uh, what those uh, punishments equate to, they do not match up. Let's put it that way. And then as a final thing, uh, President Donald Trump's direction, the National Guard is on its way with other federal protective services, and that was Keelan McKinney, press secretary. So yeah, so National Guard's being deployed currently, and that is our last little update from this thing. Um, oh, nope, one more update. The President orders his troops to stand down, presumably because their job is done. The certification was stopped, and Congress has been rounded up and secured. The interesting question is if and when we will hear from Nancy Pelosi and company. So the to be continued as it is. But that's kind of what we got going on here. I just want to do a quick short one. It's been a wild day. And yeah, I don't know if anybody's in chat, but they can ask questions if they want to. New tunes for old logos. Nice name. Thank you for the follow. And yeah, wild day. Wild day. It's been fun. So, but I think that's where I'm going to wrap this video here. I'm going to continue the stream for a little bit. For anybody that has questions, this won't be on the video. So those of you that are watching the video, throw questions down in the comments, and I'll try to get to them if they're relevant to one of our videos. I'll try to answer them. Whether you're on BitChute or YouTube or Podbean, I appreciate all the follow and DLive, of course. I appreciate all the follows and engagement and stuff like that you give me. Shoot me questions on Social Galactic. You can shoot them on Parler if you're over there. Even though the only thing I do is just post there. If you are over there, I will try to make an effort to check it. But anyway, thank you guys all for listening, and it's been a fun one. So yeah, have a good one.